Thought it might be a good time to talk about songs. We're going to talk about songs in the night for just a few minutes. And that thought is found in Job chapter 35. If you want to turn to that. Job chapter 35. And it says, this is the New King James Version, but no one says, "Where is God my maker, who gives songs in the night?" Job 35:10 contains the words of a man named Elihu, a young man named Elihu, and he is he's not the son of Buz, but he is a descendant of Buz. He's among those that are called the Buzites. He's thought to be a descendant of Abraham's brother, Nahor. Nahor had a son named Buz, and so he's called a Buzite. And he says that our Maker gives us songs in the night. His words, as far as we know, are not inspired, but other scriptures show us that his statement is true concerning the Lord giving us songs in the night. And I hope you remember that we sang that just a little bit ago. That first song that James led, Redeemed, says that God lovingly guides our footsteps and gives us songs in the night. That's that last verse, I believe. So I want to talk with you just a little bit this afternoon about the idea of God giving us songs in the night. First of all, songs. You know, we sing different types of songs in our worship. Paul identified these in three classes in Colossians 3 and verse 16. He says that we are to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs as we worship God. These include songs that teach scriptural truths. They include songs that express joy and praise to God. And I think that's the main idea of a hymn, is a song that praises God. And we sing songs that encourage one another and that give us hope. So those are some of the songs that we've sung even this afternoon, the types of songs that we sung. The songs that Elihu had in mind, I'm convinced, were songs of rejoicing and praise to God. And I think the context shows that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The night here is used figuratively. He wasn't literally talking about singing songs after dark. But night here refers to circumstances that are difficult and hard to bear. Those times that really trouble us. God gives us songs even then. And these were the types of circumstances that Job was dealing with. He was dealing with times when he needed songs in the night. You know, it's easy to rejoice when we're healthy and prosperous. Things are going well. It's fairly easy to be happy under those circumstances. But it's not so easy to be joyful when things aren't going our way. Not so easy when it's night, we might say. Troublesome times. But God gives us cause to rejoice even in the most difficult times. He gives us songs even in the night when things are really troublesome to us. We have an example of that in the New Testament. And we read in Acts 16:25 about Paul and Silas being cast into prison. And Acts 16:25 specifically says, "But at midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them." And they were in prison, but they were not only in prison, they were in stocks. Their hands and their feet were bound, even in prison. Very uncomfortable position to be in. And yet they were singing hymns at midnight. Now, they were in prison because they had cast a demon out of a young girl, young slave girl. And she had been predicting future events. And because she didn't have that demon anymore, she was free from the demon, her owners were deprived of the money they'd been getting from her predictions. That's why they were in prison. They were unjustly put in prison, obviously. How could Paul and Silas be singing hymns in such a situation? How could they do that? Well, I think there's several reasons we could list, but I want to just notice three very briefly. One, they knew their sins had been forgiven. They knew that their souls were secure no matter what happened to them. They knew that their souls were secure. They knew the Lord was with them, that He would be with them, that He would help them get through that ordeal that they were facing in prison. They knew that. The Lord has said to Christians today, Hebrews 13:5, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." He made that promise. And thirdly, they knew that their names were recorded in heaven, and they had a home reserved in heaven for them. In Luke 10:20, the disciples came back from that limited commission, and they told Jesus how they had cast out demons, and the demons were subject to them. He said, you ought to rejoice not in those things, but in the fact that your names are written in heaven, are recorded in heaven. You have a home in heaven awaiting you, and we do too. Notice the result of their singing. Their singing was heard by other prisoners and most likely by the jailer. If the other prisoners heard their singing hymns, certainly the jailer did too. God sent an earthquake, and that earthquake loosened all the chains that bound the prisoners, and it opened all the doors, and the jailer was about to commit suicide. And it was only because Paul and Silas told him that everybody was still there. They assured him, and so he didn't kill himself. And that singing and praying had an effect on the jailer. The jailer asked them what he should do. And Paul and Silas used that opportunity to teach him about Christ. And he and his household became Christians. They were baptized into Christ. That happened because of their teaching, but also they had the opportunity to teach him, I believe, because of their attitude that they expressed in prison. What if the jailer had heard them complaining about their situation, or heard them speaking evil of those who'd put them in prison? They might not have had that opportunity. They might have not had an opportunity to teach that jailer. I want us to think just a little bit about our songs in the night, the songs that we have in the night. We have the same reasons to rejoice as Paul and Silas did when we have troublesome times. We have the same reasons. That's why I chose those three specifically. We could talk about other reasons that they rejoiced because they were suffering for Jesus' sake, perhaps other reasons too. But we have some of the same reasons to rejoice in difficult times that they had. And other people hear us and see us as we go about our daily activities. Other people notice us, and they hear us in good times and in trying times. It's our behavior in trying times that has the best influence on people. It's easy to do right when everything's going your way. It's easy to be happy. But when things are difficult, when it's nighttime and things are troublesome, and you're walking by faith, not by sight, then it's more difficult. But if you do and say what you need to, and as a servant of the Lord, then you can have the best influence on other people. You can have a good influence on other people. May have an opportunity to teach them about Christ. And that's what we're looking for as Christians today. We want opportunities to teach other people about the Lord. But if we're complainers and we are always speaking bad things about those who abuse us and mistreat us and don't treat us right, then we may lose that opportunity. We may lose opportunities. Let's make sure that when others see us in troublesome times, that they hear songs in the night, that they hear our expressions of faith and our expressions of praise and joy to the Lord in our lives. They may not hear us singing literally, but they can see us serving Christ. And that's what they need to see. We need to make sure that we remember that when times are difficult for us. If you have a need to be baptized into Christ tonight, we'd be glad to do that. We'd be glad to assist you in becoming a Christian. If you desire the prayers of the church, we'd be glad to pray with you and for you. And we bid you come if you have that need while we stand and while we sing. Jesus is